Hey guys, it's Raven here. I played a game on Hop and Glory, I guess it was last night, and I don't want to do too long of a video. I'm not going to cast the entire game, but I did want to focus on the urban combat that developed during the game and really analyze it. So this video is definitely going to be focused on urban combat, tactics, strategies, using smoke, how to defend, how to attack cities. It's not a definitive tutorial by any means. I may do a video like that later on if there's enough demand for it. Anyways, to set the stage for what's going on here, it's a 4v4 on Hop and Glory. I'm playing as Israeli Airborne, which, by the way, is a great deck. Easily the most viable airborne deck behind USSR Airborne deck, which itself is just light years ahead of anything else. Really fun. It's got good ground transports for its infantry, so you don't have to take them to expensive helicopters. It has good air force. It has everything. Definitely worth playing if you can do a good airborne deck. Anyways, I'm here at Foxtrot. I'm defending this city and playing kind of air support. We got pushed out of Gulf at the start of the game, but conversely, our team is pushed into Echo, and we're trying to kind of get around here, get into Delta to take that 2-point zone, neutralize it, secure it for our team. You can see right now it's 15 minutes in. That's about a third of the way into the game. Points are even. It's a pretty good match so far, given as good as we got. And yeah, you can see here at Foxtrot, Red 4 is putting down smoke. They're just about to attack. They kind of have some stuff here ready to go. It's not a very strong attack. It's kind of a probing attack, but I'm gonna kind of analyze it and explain it a little bit. So when you attack a city, it's important to kind of understand what you're up against. You know, you find out what's there by reconning it, not just with recon units, but also sending throwaway units, transports on probing attacks, just to see what shoots at it, what's fighting from the town. So they know I have some ATGMs. I have Maglon teams. They've seen ATGMs coming from this city. That's why they're smoking here. And I think Red's strategy is they're going to try and get a foothold into this little kind of village set aside from the town, and then use that as a springboard to kind of leverage their way into the town. Real quick, I want to switch over to Red and show the Spetsnaz Gru here. This is recon infantry that's up on the mountain, but if you zoom in really close, these guys are kind of at the top of the mountain, but they're not at the edge. They can't see down into the valley. And these Gru are on the back side of this mountain here. They literally can't see anything on the other side. So yeah, a mistake anyone can make. Definitely deploying a recon on a mountain is not easy. But if you're gonna put guys up here, at least if they were trying to see into Foxtrot, they're not doing their job because they're just the terrain's blocking their line of sight. That's definitely gonna hurt them because you can see from Red 4's perspective, they can't see a single thing. Not a single thing on this entire side of the map. So a lot of that's, of course, I'm sitting in town, I'm sitting in the forest, but it's just something to consider. So anyways, here comes Red. They have a quad stack of infantry, elite infantry, whatever it is. Recon infantry on foot. I like that because it helps detect as we're going in. My Maglans are firing through a gap in the smoke. But see, look at this. I have a Messiah as a kind of side support. This forward position is allowing them to lob grenades into these elite Machutsen. It's definitely hurting them. I sent some choppers in for air support, although these flak guns are kind of warding me off. At this point, it's kind of a botched attack. This artillery from Bureau isn't necessary per se, although it's certainly helping. Uh, and I'm not trying to say, oh, this was awful. It's just a probing attack. That's maybe 100 points or so that he sent in here just to see what he could do and get a better idea of my defenses. So I would call this a reconnaissance in force. And if he could have secured this, I'm sure he would have been happy with that. But definitely, this is Eigelhart, I think is his name. I haven't played with him before, but he was a very competent player from what I could see. As you can see, he pushed me out of this little sector, but he just doesn't have the stuff to capitalize on it, and I can destroy the stuff piecemeal. But now, for the next attack, in a few minutes, he's going to have a better idea of what's going on over here. Again, Spetsnaz have... Let's see, did they move up? No, they didn't move up, so he still can't quite see over here, but that's alright. Let's see. I guess that's about all over here. I'll go to the next segment. So here we have another attack, this time on the right-hand side. It's not one that I'm participating in personally, but I do have the advantage of Monday morning quarterbacking it from the replay. You can see here Blue Force kind of made an extensive effort to get into this smaller town to the right of Delta. They've been in it. They've almost secured it a couple times, but inevitably a B5 or something comes in and they get pushed back out. It's been really back and forth here, so Blues kind of made the decision to try and swing the offensive a little more into Delta, maybe break some of the stalemate. Let's see. Putting down smoke. They have infantry on the road coming up here. Several squads. This actually is not very good smoke, and I say that as lovingly as I can because it's from my friend Master Moose. But when you put down smoke, it's not a good idea to just totally wall off the town. You'll see here in a second, Master Moose drives his infantry up. They get to the smoke, and you see he'll kind of get them all here grouped up in a second. Anyways, he gets to the smoke, and then as he pushes through, his infantry's isolated. In effect, the smoke is hurting him because now he's trapped in here with all of the red stuff, and nothing from this tree line here can support the push. Nothing in this field out here can support the push. These Javadi are just on their own, and as a result, they're going to get slaughtered because the smoke is protecting Red 4 more than it is the Javadi right now. You see they just got bombed. Unfortunately, the Patriots couldn't stop the B5. You see these Merkavas, they kind of, rolling up, but they can't see anything. The Gornostrelki are blocked. It's just a mistake. These guys, the Merkavas, are so strong. They have 18 front armor. They have grenade launchers. They have a tank gun. If they were lined up about right here, firing into the town, they could do a lot of damage to those Gornostrelkis. Those Gornostrelkis would get off maybe one missile, and then they'd get slaughtered. But again, Blue 4 kind of just doubles down on the smoke. They make the wall again. These Merkavas are useless. They can't do anything, and the Shayatet are going to go into the mist to see what's in there by themselves, basically. And you can see Moose moving his tanks up, which are almost out of gas, by the way. Definitely want to be careful. Almost as if he maybe realized the error, and now he's driving his tanks up into the almost into the city limits. And he's still not close enough to help the Shayatet, so he drives right up to the city. And then he disconnected, unfortunately, because his internet's not always great. Of course, the Merkavas there, I think there's actually some smoke from Red 4 now. Now the Merkavas are sitting in the smoke. These VDV are creeping up. They're going to get right up next to them because the Merkavas are too close to the city now, because they had to get too close to get in and fire. And the Merkavas are going to get slaughtered here in a second by the VDV. It's just as soon as that smoke clears. It's coming. There we go. So the lesson from this is just was not very good use of smoke. The attack wasn't well supported. The Merkavas, the tanks back in this tree line could not support by firing into the town, and there wasn't good air support. There wasn't all that great artillery support, and as a result, the attack through our own smoke basically got chopped up and was able to be dealt with piecemeal by the Red 4 defenders in the town. You can see here a little bit of flanking action from my amphibious tanks. Magalan team is still kind of stuck out here in the hinterlands. It'd actually be smarter just to kind of leave them right about here, but instead he whoever got control of Moose's units pushes them up, and he'll get killed by the Legion here in a minute. But you see, even this one Maglan unit standing here was able to see those VDV, and units from over here killed the VDV squad. So if you can, when you attack a town, really what you want to do is try and spot the defenders by making them shoot at stuff. Ideally, infantry on foot, maybe 700-800 meters from the town, and then have tanks kind of in concealment if possible, or if not, maybe sitting back right about here at this line who are able to fire into the town. Yes, you'll take a little bit of damage from ATGMs, but as soon as you start spotting the ATGMs, you'll start suppressing them, and they'll very quickly lose their firepower. And we'll see a little bit of that later, but that attack unfortunately failed. Red 4 doesn't have, or Blue 4 doesn't have Delta. We don't have this town. We're gonna have to kind of go back to the drawing board and see what we can come up with. So here's what the back to the drawing board looks like. Is basically I saw the failure of the attack over here, so I decided since I was kind of just hanging out in my town, I would contribute some infantry. So I bought what is that? 2 quad stacks of Israeli airborne, the Tazanim, and they're rushing into the town right now. And full disclosure, I know that the town has been weakened by the previous assaults. I know where Gornostrelki is, that the Gornostrelki are around here, so you'll see me attack the town and do well, but I don't want to discount that some of that is based off of what I learned from watching the previous attack and knowing how Red 4 had their infantry displaced, and also, what they had there. But you see, I'm not going to use smoke because I know all they have are a couple of Gornostrelki. I didn't realize they were out of missiles, but that certainly helps. So I'm going to drive these fast guys right up to the town. Nothing's shooting at me yet. There's no reason to smoke. There's no danger. Right now, any smoke I put down is going to hinder me more than it is going to hinder the enemy. Now, as soon as I see something, I'm going to unload these guys. And this is a block of, 30 HP right here. Now, if they get bombed, that's bad. But we have 2 Patriots. I have an ASF, a couple ASFs up, so I'm waiting for that. I'm ready for a bomber, and I have helicopter gunships come in. I know their AA here is non-existent or very light. They have 1 man pad. It's out of missiles. So right now, these Tazanim squads are basically just there to spot anything that shoots at them. Gornostrelki are spotted. The Bradley, the Merkava opens fire. The Cobra helicopters open fire. I'm just going into the town, block by block. I'll get in there eventually. Spot the Legion, same thing. I'm going to be able to use the Cobras to fire at him in a second. And also some of these light amphibious tanks I brought in. Just kind of, I'm really confident. I know there's no AA other than these TIE 90s back here now. So I'm getting my helicopters in really close. Unfortunately, they died, but I think they did their job. And right now, we're in the town. We have a pretty good foothold. We can bomb the town. There's a big napalm cluster over here. If they come to bomb me, I'm zoomed out. I'm looking. I have an ASF ready. There's Patriots here, and I can move my infantry, to the sides to avoid bombing if I have to. Thankfully, I don't have to. At this point, the Red 4 Air Force has been attritioned a fair amount. But yeah, so now we're in. We have some progress. We've killed most of the forces here by having my admittedly pretty suicidal infantry spot them for the tanks around here, for the helicopters in the air. So in this case, and of course, don't discount also the blue push into this town by Commandant, who was able to neutralize this and make sure I wasn't taking any side fire. It's really important when you're attacking a town to not have just one axis of attack. It's much better if you can dominate the area around the town, as we're doing right here, by securing this tree line and, to a lesser extent, this town. If Red 4 had Echo, if they had this tree line, it would be complete folly to attack Delta, because they would be able to sort you out from the tree line, disrupt reinforcements. So in the very real sense, Delta was a siege. We constricted it, we took Echo, we disrupted reinforcements, and finally we were able to attack it. Just pointing out there was a little bit of smoke here. This is actually really good smoke because what it did was it isolates the town we're attacking at Delta, from any reinforcements over here. The smoke wall was a lot thicker a minute ago, and that T-90 couldn't shoot at me. Nothing else that could have potentially been in there would shoot at me. And right now, the blue forces in this city, although I think they probably all die, are just forming a blocking force that makes it too dangerous to reinforce this town. And as a result, we're eventually able to really lock down Delta, and inevitably that wins us the game. Of course, even though we win the game, doesn't mean the game's over. Kind of, we have to go back to Foxtrot now, where I'm positioned. I want to show you some of the moves Red makes. At this point, the game isn't over. We have a 70-point lead, but there's still 7 minutes left. If they can get into Foxtrot and neutralize it, they can make up the loss at Delta. And so that's what Eigelhart's going to try and do here. There's actually a really clever little way to attack. Let me pause real quick. I don't want to get too far. You see, he's sheltered by this mountain, so I couldn't even really see him as he was staging his attack over here. And now he's coming up. This is a little more attack and force. Those are 4 65-point tanks. So that's excuse me. That's 260 points or so of tanks. There's infantry. He's not really bothering with smoke. He knows it didn't help him last time. This is definitely a harder attack. He wants to push me from an unexpected direction, and I think kind of overwhelm me on this flank, and then cut off reinforcements going through this valley while he maybe stages a further assault on the city. And again, this zone is kind of complex. It's got this little town up here. It's got a forward position in front of the main town right here. It's got the town. It's got a little forest leading into a valley, and it's got mountains all around it. So it's really hard to take the zone, in a well-defended zone, in one charge. And I think Eigelhart has the right idea, and that he's trying to, rather than swallow it up in one gulp, he's trying to figure out a way to kind of get into it and then go from there. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that well for him. And admittedly, this is kind of, he's under a lot of pressure. He's trying to make something happen here. So I'm not trying to say, oh, this is an awful attack, look how bad he is, or anything like that. I just want to analyze it a little bit. And also, what I think one of the reasons he came from this direction is he probably was under the impression that I had this town just full of ATGMs. That's what most people do, and I only have one ATGM squad in there, which I will use, but overall, I'm not all that impressed with ATGMs. I think they're more an intimidation tool than anything. So if you were driving up here, you might see an ATGM and it'll pick off something, and psychologically it hurts because you just got hurt and you don't have any way to retaliate. So if you have 1 or 2 ATGMs in a town, it can really psych someone out. But if you're doing a push, in reality, ATGMs doing a couple of front damage to 1 or 2 tanks or killing the odd infantry units, not a huge loss. I'd much rather have reliable shock and elite infantry in the town ready to counter and counterattack. You can also see I don't have infantry just lined up on the edge of the town. That goes to what I was talking about earlier, where when you're attacking a town, you're trying to spot the infantry so your outside forces can shoot it. Here I'm guarding against that by I have more of a defense in depth. I have a lot of my strength kind of in the middle of the town or a little further back. That way they can't spot me from outside the town. They have to come into the town if they want to fight me, and that's a little more favorable territory to me. Anyways, let me proceed here. You see the Mochus come over the mountain. I really didn't expect that because I couldn't see it coming really. But on the other hand, they're really exposed out here. He doesn't have any man pads to guard them. In a second, I have a helicopter, a gunship come up. This is completely neutralized, and he has no choice but to pull back because I had stuff here ready to counter him. You see, he does with his tanks, his infantry. He kind of pushes me out of this forward position. He spotted my grenade launcher team, and he knows it's there from the last time he attacked. And this is pretty dangerous. He's done a good attack. And because I was focusing on Delta a minute ago to push into it, I don't have as many forces here as I should. You see, I moved my ATGM team up to begin shooting from the side there. Unfortunately for Eichelhart, he makes a really critical mistake here, and that's he just does not have enough anti-air. So here's my Patan tank buster just completely free reign destroying these Dinas that are desperately pushing in. I think trying to find a CV, trying to support these Machutsen who are also kind of desperately pushing in, and they're just getting gunned down by these helicopters. You see, they even managed to stun my Cobra because they got close enough, but not close enough to kill it and push in, I guess. Unfortunately, this attack kind of failed as well. Again, because he just didn't have enough AA, and in my opinion, the attack wasn't strong enough for what he was trying to do. He needed probably, I would say, 3 times as much infantry as he had. The tanks were good. Needed AA, needed more infantry, and he also needed smoke. The way I would have used smoke in this situation is to cover. You know, he's trying to get into this half of the zone, right? So he needs to cover this area with the smoke to isolate the area he's attacking from any supporting fire that could come from this side of town, either from these Tazanim, from the ATGMs, from the Stingers, whatever. But really, you know, I'm an airborne deck. I used helicopters to repel him, and because his AA net wasn't strong enough to push me, I was able to push him out. And keeping in mind also, he's Eastern Bloc, so you know he has Trop 2s. He should probably have the German Tunguska. Here he's calling in Sopels. You see, you kind of almost see the thought bubble of, oh, I need Sopels, and I learned my lesson. Uh, and again, it's not really a criticism. You know, the game's almost over. We're up +4. He's just trying to make something happen. Now this is a little bit later. Same situation, same player, same zone. You can you can see it's almost like he could hear my advice, or he had I guess a premonition of what I would say in the video, because now he has a lot more infantry. He brought Sopels, which should be a decent counter to my helicopters, although not perfect. I should point out, Sopels only have 26-25 meter range, and the on both their missile and their gun, and my Peten that I was using has 2800 meter range. So if I'm careful with it, I can pick off those Sopels with Hellfires and not ever be in range. So that I would definitely have brought a Strop or something instead, which at the very least has the same range, or even a Tunguska if he had it, so that he could outrange my Piten. And also just to kind of comment also that the player here at Golf was really passive. I think he should have done more to support the Eastern Bloc players' attacks, but you know, hindsight is 2020, so leave it at that. Anyways, you can see my town looks much the same as it did before. I've been fighting over here on the right again, so I've probably neglected it a little more than I should have, but I did send my helicopters back to rearm. I have 4 new squads of elite infantry ready to go into the town, so that's good. I haven't retaken this zone right here. I really should have. I should have had a few squads. But at this point, he's rushing in 10 infantry squads. He's got the Sopels. They're firing on my recon, and oh, they ran into one of my gunships again. It just, because he was so blobbed up right here, he got rocketed down, and now it's kind of just, hey, look, there's this huge blob of stuff. You know, slaughter it with artillery, slaughter it with bombing, and it's just a total debacle. You know, everything's panicked, everything's slowed. The Patan's back. He's sniping the Sopels who aren't close enough to shoot him right now. One by one, they're stunned. I think someone just bombed almost all the Machutes that are dead. You know, it's over, and there's only 5 seconds left in the game. So again, don't think too much of that, because you know it's just kind of a desperation move. Um, you know what happened here was he has this little tiny band that he can attack, because he's using this mountain to shelter himself, which is good. I can't really see what he's doing over there. harass him very effectively. But by coming along this path, he makes it so he's almost trapped between this road and the mountain, and he needs to come through here. And so when he finally breaks the mountain here, he gets in sight of my helicopters. He's outran his AA. That allowed me to rocket him down. He's trying to get into this little village here with too many men, and inevitably he gets artillery down. What I would have done a little differently is I think rather than do a full force attack around this mountain, which I think this is good. I've actually never seen this before. I was really impressed with using this mountain as cover. I would have done a much smaller attack along here, and then had my main force come out over the open road. That seems scary. It's like, oh no, open ground. But I know, and he should have known by now, that I don't really do ATGMs that much. It's not like I have 10 of them in here waiting to just, massacre whatever's out here. It would have been much better to kind of be dispersed, be spread out a little bit more, and advancing, 3 infantry this way, 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, tanks in the back, AA back here ready to support, and just kind of do an all-out assault on the town, because it is weakly held. Of course, again, it's a little hard to know that because he can't really see, but that he should probably know by now. And yeah, it's unfortunately the game's over. Kills are pretty good. The Commandant killed a lot with his Patriots, and I went positive. Not that really points matter all that much. It is Conquest. But yeah, I thought it was a really interesting game from my perspective, because I got to defend and I got to attack in a city, and it went well in both instances for me. And I hope by analyzing what happened a little bit, it helps you guys watching understand urban combat a little bit better. Again, I could maybe do a whole video on urban combat. There's certainly a lot more to say, but it'd be a pretty big undertaking. So for now, this will have to do. If you have any questions about urban combat, what to do, how to use smoke, the different strategies behind it, please let me know in the comments. And also, if there's any other kind of videos you'd like to see, let me know. That's about it. So thanks guys for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.